You have to hear this. The AI revolution is moving at a breakneck speed, right? But lurking just beneath the surface, there's this enormous secret problem, a bottleneck that is threatening to bring the entire industry to a screeching halt. And this problem is so big, it just forced Google, a company built on software and search bars, to do something truly shocking. They dropped nearly $5 billion, not on some new algorithm, but on a power company. Yeah, you heard that right. A company that builds power plants. And why they did it exposes the hidden crisis fueling the entire AI boom. And look, this isn't some hypothetical, far-off problem. This is a direct warning from the man at the very top. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, is basically shouting it from the rooftops. They are hitting a physical wall. The hunger for AI is so insane that the actual physical world, the power grids, the infrastructure, it just can't keep up. The constraints he's talking about, they're not coming, they're already here. He's not just worried about it, he's telling us it's happening right now. And this is their answer to that problem. Google's parent company Alphabet just laid out $4.75 billion in cash to buy a company called Intersect Power. Just let that number sink in for a second. For a company that lives in the digital world, this is a mind-boggling investment in steel, concrete, and wires. It's the loudest possible signal that for them, securing their own energy isn't just a nice-to-have. It's become a mission-critical part of surviving in the age of AI. So yeah, that brings us to the central mystery we're unpacking today. Why in the world would a company that mastered the internet, that builds these incredible digital worlds, suddenly turn around and buy up solar farms and giant battery plants? Well, the answer pulls back the curtain on the absolutely staggering and mostly hidden energy cost of artificial intelligence. Okay, first things first, let's really dig into the problem that Google is desperately trying to solve. This is all about AI's unbelievable appetite for energy. It's a crisis that's been quietly simmering for a while, but believe me, it is now about to boil over. At its heart, it really is this simple. All the cool stuff, generative AI, large language models, you name it. It all requires a kind of computational power that is just worlds apart from what we've ever seen before. These aren't just servers anymore. You should think of them as AI factories. And these factories are unbelievably power hungry. Now, check this out because this slide shows you the problem at the individual chip level. Just a decade ago, a typical computer chip, a CPU, might pull about 200 watts of power. Fast forward to today, and the specialized GPUs that are the workhorses of AI, they can guzzle 1,000 watts each. That's a 5 times jump for a single chip. Now imagine hundreds of thousands of those packed together in a single data center. You start to see how the numbers get crazy fast. And if you think that's wild, this chart shows you the macro problem for the entire country. The Department of Energy says that right now, data centers are already using about 4% of all the electricity in the US. That's a huge slice of the pie. But look at the projection. By 2028, that's just a few years away, that number is expected to triple to 12%. Our national power grid has never seen that kind of explosive growth in demand from a single industry. And here's the kicker. This isn't just some abstract problem for tech billionaires. No, this has very real consequences for all of us. Public utility grids are getting completely overwhelmed, which is leading to project delays for new data centers that stretch out for years. And in some towns where these facilities are clustered, residents have seen their home electricity bills spike by over 200% just to pay for all the necessary grid upgrades. The AI boom is literally showing up on your power bill. So if you're a tech giant faced with this crisis, how do you keep the AI train from running off the rails? Well, that leads us right to the company Google just bought, Intersect Power, and their pretty radical solution to this whole mess. They call it Bring Your Own Generation. The big idea is a concept called co-location. And it's actually beautiful in its simplicity. Instead of trying to plug your giant power-sucking data center into an old, strained public grid and just, hoping for the best, you build your own power plant right next door. We're talking dedicated solar farms, massive battery arrays, all directly wired into your data center. You just skip the public grid entirely. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is from Sheldon Kimber, the CEO of Intersect Power. He puts it pretty bluntly. He says the most cutting-edge tech of our lifetime, AI, is literally being held hostage by one of the oldest and slowest industries out there, the electrical grid. His entire company was built on a single premise. To unleash the future of AI, you have to solve the energy problem first.
So here's how Intersect's model works, and it's basically a four-step playbook. First, you pick a spot for a new data center. Second, you build a ton of renewable energy generation, like a huge solar farm, right beside it. Third, and this part is absolutely critical, you add massive batteries to store that power so you have a steady supply 24/7, even when it's dark or the wind isn't blowing. And finally, you just plug the data center directly into your private power plant. No more waiting years for the utility company.
Okay, so now that we've seen the sheer scale of the energy problem and this really elegant solution, suddenly Google writing that $4.75 billion check, well, it starts to look less like a crazy purchase and more like a brilliant, calculated move. For Google, this deal is a magic bullet that solves four massive headaches all at once. First, it guarantees them a private, reliable pipeline of power so their AI ambitions won't be supply constrained. Second, by owning the power plants, they get to control their energy costs and protect themselves from insane price spikes. Third, they get to jump to the front of the line, completely bypassing those years-long waits to connect to the public grid. And finally, this move turbocharges their goal to run their entire company on carbon-free energy around the clock. It's a win-win-win-win. But this is where the story gets even bigger, because this isn't just about Google. This deal is a landmark moment. It signals a fundamental shift for the entire tech industry. We are officially entering a new kind of arms race, an energy arms race. This slide just nails the pivot perfectly. The old way of doing things was you find a piece of land near a big power line, you plug in, and you just hope for the best. The new model, the one Google just went all in on, is all about vertical integration. You don't just build the AI factory, you build the power plant that runs the factory. You control the entire energy supply chain, from the electron all the way to the algorithm. And the ripple effects here are going to be massive. You're already seeing this energy arms race heat up, with rivals like Meta and Microsoft scrambling to lock down their own power sources. This creates a huge problem for smaller AI startups, right? They can't afford to build their own multi-billion-dollar power plants. It also raises some really tricky questions for regulators. I mean, what happens when a tech company basically becomes its own private utility? And you have to ask, is AI's massive demand for green energy crowding out everyone else? These are the huge debates that are going to define the next decade in tech. Which leaves us with this one last, kind of wild thought. In their quest to build the future of intelligence, the biggest and most powerful companies on Earth are now becoming power companies themselves. This deal, it's not just about microchips and solar panels. It's about a fundamental merger of two of the world's most important industries, tech and energy, and it points to a future where the line between them might just vanish altogether. Hey, if you found this breakdown interesting and you want more deep dives into the huge forces reshaping our world, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It honestly helps us a ton and lets us make more content just like this. Thanks so much for watching.